Hello, everybody, and welcome to ZTV Live. Today is Wednesday, October 7th, 2020. I'm Susan Mulligan Fleischman, and I'm so glad that you have joined us tonight. If you could, somebody out there, just say a little hello, make sure that we can hear me and see me, and please don't hesitate to join the conversation. I'm thrilled to welcome Jane Collins back to the show, this time as a guest. Jane is the executive director of HEARD, a wonderful nonprofit here in Alexandria that they give a voice to the voiceless. And for a few months over the summer, Jane did us a huge favor, and she did weekly broadcasts on ZTV Live, and she interviewed so many wonderful, hardworking people in Alexandria. We got to learn a lot about the services and organizations and nonprofits in Alexandria, and it was always just such a pleasure. And we kind of got to know them a little bit better because Jane's format was she had 10 questions to ask them. And so in that vein, I have a little bowl of questions here that I will be asking Jane a couple of questions as well. So without further ado, I'm going to bring Jane up on the screen. And hello, Jane Collins. Welcome back to ZTV Live.
Hi, Susan. It's good to see you.
It's great to see you too. It's so nice to see you back here again.
Yeah, I've missed you. I've missed all of you.
Yeah, we miss you too. But I'm so glad that you're here. What have you been doing? I know that you have a little bit more time in your hands, not getting your ZTV show lined up, which you did so beautifully for so long. What are you up to these days?
Well, thank you. And that was so much fun. It really was. So thanks for the chance to do that. Well, I've been working with HEARD, and I know we're going to talk a little bit more about that. And just that and just spending time with family, friends, checking in on my mom in Ohio, and getting out a little bit. You know, I just have to be real careful. We all do.
Yes.
But, it's so beautiful this time of year. It's just hard not to be outside. So I'm trying to be outside as much as I can.
Yeah, good for you. I know I try to get outside too. And actually today was a beautiful day. It was so much warmer than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
It's although it was nice to have a warm day after a couple of cool days, but you always think you're ready for the cool weather, and then you step outside and you're like, oh, it's so cold,
Yeah,
So,
right.
It takes a little bit, a little while to get used to it. And I have noticed for HEARD that you've been posting some really amazing work by some of the students in your classes. Can you talk to some of those a little bit?
Yeah, happy to. Most of the work, actually, I put on my own Facebook page, Jane S. Collins. Most of the time, I share it to the HEARD webpage. I encourage everybody to go to our HEARD Facebook page, HEARD Nova, and then also to our website, which is herdnova.org. But what you're referencing is we just finished up our writing contest that we have with the Arlington County Detention Facility and the nonprofit Offender Aid and Restoration. And once again, this is the third year in a row we've done this. We've offered fiction, nonfiction, and poetry to the inmates, given them an opportunity to write. We have judges, professors from Marymount, the Poet Laureate of Arlington. HEARD ponies up the cash prizes. The first, second, and third place winners get, I think $25, $20, $15 in their canteen. And we did tape our award ceremony this year. We couldn't do it live for obvious reasons, but their poetry, their stories are always so incredibly brutally honest. Mm-hmm. A lot of them write about addiction. A lot of them write about being Black. A lot of them write about being incarcerated, especially if they're Black or gay. Mm-hmm. A lot of them write about the people they love and miss. I just encourage everyone to get on our site, go under galleries, look at poetry, look at stories, or just check our Facebook page because we do post those stories as well.
That's terrific. Yeah, I did notice a couple of them this week, and they are so moving. It's such a wonderful. It must be so gratifying to give a voice to the voiceless, because it seems that it maybe takes a little bit of encouragement, but once they're kind of given that invitation to express themselves, they really blossom with it.
I was just going through some of our impact statements today for this Tom Tom Festival, which we're going to talk about in a little bit. And I looked at what some of our clients, I say clients, it could be the incarcerated, those coming out of incarceration, immigrants, the LGBTQA community, mm-hmm. any adult that doesn't always have a voice or isn't always heard, and to see what they say. And the stuff that they've said about our program, it's things like, you've changed my life.
Yeah.
You've given me self-confidence I never thought I had. I'm going to read one right here. Sorry, I have to turn the page. Someone said, this is about our improv program we had at Arlington. Being incarcerated, I don't have much to be happy about. However, I could truly say improv class is extremely enjoyable and always put a smile on my face. So that's the kind of feedback we get. So yes, it's gratifying to me. It's also gratifying to our artists who know that they're doing good and that they're compensated for their work, which
Yes.
is a very core part of Herd.
I was going to say, and I know that was your main objective in designing your program called Herd, and that was getting the professionals to be paid for their services to give. So I'm so glad, and you have a personal reason for doing that.
I do. I do. My mother is an artist. In fact, she might be watching right now in Ohio. And hi, Mom. She is a magnificent artist. She actually started drawing at 2 years old. Always knew she'd be an artist. Has a degree in fine arts from Ohio State. And she has had her painting. She's won more first places, best of shows than probably anyone I've ever known. And her stuff's been exhibited on calendars. It's been part of traveling galleries, all kinds of things. But as a kid, growing up, I would watch her work on a beautiful, original, creative painting, and then put it up for sale at, a local art league or something, and price it very, very reasonably, because Mom always believed art should be affordable, and a lot of people can't afford, or original art isn't just part of their budget, especially in small town Ohio where I grew up. And inevitably, even people with means, would just look at her price and slash it by half. And it would just make my mom so sad.
Yeah, and that's insulting.
And do you talk to your lawyer or your accountant and say, oh, okay, 800? No, I'll give you 400.
Yeah.
You don't do that.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, well,
as I was looking for the unmet need in Alexandria and how art could solve it, it was part of our core commitment that artists would be compensated.
That is great, and it's so interesting that you were looking around for a need that needed to be filled, and your mind immediately went to art, and is it because you think of the influence that growing up with an artist as your mom, that that art was held in high esteem in your kind of your personal values? And arts, it is obviously, everybody knows that the arts are great for building, mind and body and soul, but it gets short shrift in funding and in schools and in administrations and everything else. And so I'm just wondering how it's inspiring to me that you immediately thought of art as such a healing mechanism.
I do. Thank you. And I do want to say, we're not a therapy program. We are not there to help or heal people. We are just here to let them express themselves. We work through program partners, and they usually have case managers, therapists on staff. So, we're not there to try to fix anyone. We just give them creative expression. But yeah, you're exactly right. I knew that if I was going to create something, art would have to be part of it. And the other half of the story is, my dad was a small town philanthropist. And I haven't told this story, at least not on this forum before, but he owned a lumber yard. My brother runs it now, and he had a bypass when he was 50 years old, which seemed really old to me at the time.
Right, and now it's so young.
I know, right? And he was always very Catholic, very religious, and he decided God had given him a second chance, so he would give someone a second chance, and this was back in the 70s. So he wrote to the Archbishop of, Cincinnati, Ohio, which is our diocese, and asked for the poorest village in the Western Hemisphere. And from that, he got a hold of a nun who spoke French and sent her 1% of the lumberyard's gross income every month for years.
Wow. And where was this village?
Haiti. In
Haiti, of course.
Haiti.
Uh-huh.
And my mom would translate because she had taken French. And in a couple of years, they had running water for the first time. They had electricity for the first time. And it showed me that a couple of things. Number one person can make a huge difference. Number two, it doesn't take a lot of money to be incredibly impactful. And number three, I saw the fulfillment and the joy and the meaning it brought to my dad. So I think that also was part of my DNA.
Definitely.
When I set about to create something.
Wow, that's a great story. I'm so glad you shared it with me now. I'd never, I hadn't heard that one before. And it is true. In fact, I'm working on another story that is very much about that theme of one person can really make a big difference, maybe not worldwide, but in someone's world or in a lot of people's world. And so that's why, our slogan here at the Zebra, of course, and on ZTV is be the good news in someone's life. But,
I
just
love
that be kind and do unto others and give what you can. And, everybody's here to serve everybody else. I mean, those are just, resounding themes that have, that everybody benefits from. So, it's almost always better to give than to receive. There's no feeling like it, really. So, so what a wonderful example your parents gave you, Jane, and you've taken the ball and run even further with it.
Thank you.
Yeah. And so,
It's been fun.
yeah, now you mentioned the TomTom Foundation.
Right.
Excuse me. You mentioned the TomTom Foundation, and I know that you're participating on a panel. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure, and I'm really excited about that. This was supposed to be in the spring in Charlottesville, and of course, COVID got in the way.
Yeah.
So now they're doing it virtually, but the TomTom Foundation, it's all about communities helping each other, communities strengthening each other, and they've been having different summits going on over the past 6 or 8 weeks at different times. I know at some point you're going to put up the website so people can take a look and register.
What? Thank you for reminding me. Let me do that right now.
Oh.
So go ahead.
Anyway, there's a series going on now about arts as a healing tool in communities. And the one at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning is the one I'll be participating in. It's called Survival, It Takes a Village. And I'll be working with a librarian from New York and the First Lady of Mississippi. And we're all going to be speaking about 15 minutes about the work that we do. So I'll be talking about the impact that HERD has had on the adults that we serve here in Alexandria and some in Arlington. But then there's another part to it, and I'm really excited about this. Tomorrow was supposed to be the rollout, but tonight on ZTV Live is the official rollout of the 5 steps it takes to start a similar HERD-like organization in your community.
Fantastic. Let me get that slide up there while you describe it.
You can download it from our website, again, herdnova.org, and then in the upper right, you see Get Involved. Just click on that. The flyer that Susan is putting up is something you can download. And again, I don't want to give the impression I'm telling you how to start a nonprofit, because I'm not, and it's very complex. But just in a very simplistic way, these are the 5 steps I took to start HERD, and I want to see organizations and communities across the U.S. using artists, paying them, I would hope, but using local artists with local funds to solve local needs. Because so much can be done. It honors artists, it allows them to be heard, and so much healing can be done through art.
Absolutely. And it's an acronym, so it's easy for people to remember. And so do you want to just read through each one?
Sure. And I'll say it very generally. The first is local. It's all about being local, obviously. You have to locate the unmet need. What in your community, who in your community needs to be served that isn't being served already? And I spent about a year looking at the different nonprofits, the different missions, the different needs in Alexandria, and I discovered that that I could tell there wasn't a creative outlet for marginalized adults to express themselves. And so I thought that was sort of the genesis of HERD. And I'd said before, the last time I was on the show, as you walk down King Street and you see people that maybe appear to be homeless, I would always wonder what their stories were, and not necessarily why they're homeless, but what stories are in their imagination. Are they poets? Are they singers? Are they rappers? And to give them that platform so they can express themselves the way the rest of us do on, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, whatever. So that was the first. And then the O is obtain. Obtain artists to meet that need. And also get your friends involved. Get volunteers. Get staff if you want to have staff. Again, it's all very general, whatever your community needs. But find out what arts groups can support that. As an example, I know there's some great partnerships in different communities where knitters have gotten together and they've taught people how to knit who need that repetitive movement to help relax themselves. It could be families whose kids are in intensive care. It could be people who are in chemotherapy. But even something as basic as knitting, which is an art, can be very, very therapeutic. So maybe
Wow.
that's what your community needs. So it doesn't have to be what I do. In fact, I don't want you to copy what I do. I want you to find out what you need to do in your hometown.
Right, because every town has a different need and a different way to achieve it.
hmm And let me add here, I did talk to my hometown, the community leadership, 2 years ago, and talked about what I did. I just had a follow-up call with them earlier this afternoon. And because of what HERD did, they created their own model and their own need. It's called Unity in Community. And they work with women in jail who have heroin addictions. And they do a lot of whiteboard visioning. There's a huge faith component to it. And it's been very successful. I'm finding out some of my high school classmates are in the group that I didn't even know about.
Wow.
But it, again, has nothing to do with HERD, but the seed was planted that you
Yep.
can use art to help people who need it. And that's what
Absolutely.
this is all about.
And Herd was an inspiration for it, so kudos to you. That's wonderful.
Well, and we hope to get that happening in communities across the U.S. I'll let you know.
Okay,
Um,
good.
The third step is to create. You must create a nonprofit, or if you don't want to do that, and again, that does take some work, connect with an existing organization. So there might be a faith community, there might be another nonprofit, there might be some organization that will take on you and your idea and kind of give you the top cover, as we did with the Delray Community Partnership for a couple of years. Because you should have some kind of liability insurance, especially if you're going to work with marginalized populations.
Right.
There's always some admin fees. There's that kind of thing. So just get yourself some top cover, whichever way works for you. So you have a structure and you have some accountability.
Right.
The next one is ask for funding. When I started HERD, I was going to fund it for 5 years. I was going to make it very small, and then we would all we were a writing group at the time, and say, we're all done, let's go on to the next thing. And that's, of course, not how it turned out. So if it is very small, then maybe you can self-fund it. Maybe if you can't, you can ask for grants. You can ask for corporate sponsors. Even in the smallest of towns have businesses who might want to support you in exchange for, maybe a place on your website or something on social media or a mention in the newspaper. Maybe you can ask your family and friends for money. A lot of people, most nonprofits do that through emails, through letters, through social media.
Sure.
Or you can just have fundraising events. My stepson is going to be in a golf tournament pretty soon to raise funds for a nonprofit that his friend is involved with. So there's all kinds of ways to raise money, and figure out how much money you need. We don't have a lot. Our budget last year was about $24,000.
Wow.
And almost all of that went to the artist payment.
I was going to say that was all for to pay the artists, right? Yeah.
And our impact is incredible.
Yeah.
So
sure
you don't
is.
need, again, going back to my dad, you don't need a lot of time or a lot of money to have a huge impact. And
That's such an important message.
Right.
I think that, like what we were saying before, you're a little bit overwhelmed because the need is so great, but start small, start somewhere, because look at what you've built with HERD. So it's really, that's a wonderful example.
Yeah, thank you. And I also want to say, this is not a full-time job. And I set that up intentionally because I do consulting work as a communications and a marketing consultant. I do want to spend time with my husband and travel. I do want to spend time with my step family and my grandkids. I check in on my mom back in Ohio periodically. Too often, she'll tell you. I want to go out and relax and go to the gym and play tennis and have fun. So this fits in very nicely. It can be as big or as little as you want.
Right.
I've been able to go on extended vacations and run this from my phone.
That's great.
And then launch. The last part is just launch. Start small. We started out as a writing group. Then we added improv. Then we added poetry. We just keep your eye out for what's needed and just grow until you don't want to grow anymore. You don't have to be huge. You don't have to take over the world. Just be as big or as small as you want.
Wow. You really make it sound so easy.
Yeah,
and I understand
sometimes it isn't.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say, I know that it's not always easy, but it really can be broken down. That's such a helpful graphic you've developed and program. And thank you so much for sharing it on ZTV Live and giving us the exclusive before going on the TomTom tomorrow to tell the rest of the world about it. It's a wonderful vehicle to use, or a model, really, I think is probably a better word. It's a wonderful model, and it really kind of breaks down the steps so that anybody, and I'm hoping maybe some people who may have had a little idea of something to do might be like, well, let me try it. I mean, wouldn't that be wonderful if we could inspire some people to go out and fill the need that they have seen around them?
I hope so. And there is a part there that says complete the contact. The link is there, the contact form on the website. And if you want to consult with me, if you want my help, let's do it. We
Great.
can Zoom, we can Skype, we can do something. But I am happy to help you get started in your community.
Well, that's
So,
very generous of you, Jane. I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to be tuning in tomorrow. It was very easy to register. I've already registered for the Cities Rising Summit.
well, thank you.
It's free to register,
Mhm.
and there's a lot of information. There's a lot of speakers. There's a lot of programs. A lot of panels going on, and your panel is tomorrow morning at 10 a.m.
10 o'clock. I'm on from 10:35 to 10:50. And
Excellent.
then we have breakout sessions. I do want to give a shout out to the Georgetown University Cause Consulting Program. That's a program I went through when I went through Georgetown a couple of years ago to get my master's. And this class teaches you how to be a cause consultant. And I'm working with them. So I have three fabulous grad students who are helping me with the audience identification, the storytelling, and the messaging. So as I go out after this, as I go out to different arts organizations, and I've actually located all the state organizations through the National Endowments of the Arts website, as I reach out to them and offer this model, offer to maybe, be on some panels, be a speaker, help launch this, they are helping me with that, and they are going to be phenomenal. I am so impressed with them and for the work they're going to do for us.
Well, that's great, and thank you for giving credit where credit is due. I mean, that's
Mhm.
just fantastic. And again, not to belabor the point, but one little spark starts so many different fires everywhere, and it's just amazing the inspiration and the good work that can really be done. And I'll tell you, I think everybody is so happy to hear about a hopeful, promising organization that brings relief to the downtrodden and those who need to have their voice heard. Because these are tough times right now that we're all in,
Mhm.
and it's so refreshing and kind of restorative to have something, a program like this where people really are, it's just a positive thing and a lot of negative. There's a lot of negative out there. It's and I urge people as much as you can, turn off the negative and find something positive. It takes a little bit more effort. It's easy to find the negative, but there's much more positive out there than you think there is. It just,
Right,
unfortunately, it gets swallowed up in all the noise. There's so
right.
much noise out there. So I'm so glad that you came on and to tell us all about this. Now let's maybe remember, I have this bowl of questions here, and I was
Ah! It's more fun when I ask the questions.
well,
Help!
it's fun though. I promise there's not going to be anything. I'm not here to. There's no gotcha moments. This isn't, CNN or anything. So, but I will say one of my. I have a couple of questions in mind, and most of them are the questions I loved hearing you ask the guests then when you were doing your show. And one of the
Okay.
questions that I loved, because people like to answer it, was what would surprise people about you.
Um, that would be, and for those that are watching, I actually had an idea of what these questions are, so you'll see some pictures. Some people know, not everybody knows, that my first career, I was in the Air Force. I retired in 2009 at the rank of colonel, and I think you've got a picture of me
Yep.
at my retirement ceremony.
Yeah. It is. You're looking smart and dapper, and
Oh,
did they call it your blues
my
in that
dress blues
uniform?
and my dark hair.
Yeah, that's right. And your dark hair, and you're
Yep.
very decorated, Jane.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
It was a
Um,
wonderful foundation to launch a career like this. I can
yeah,
go a whole other hour about the benefits of being in the military.
Oh yeah, yeah. We not familiar personally with the military growing up. My dad served in World War II, but he didn't really talk about it a lot, and he certainly didn't continue his military career after he left the army. But moving here and living in this neighborhood, and I know so many military families, and I've just been blown away by their dedication, their sacrifice. It has really humbled me, and I just am so thankful for the service of. So thank you, Jane, for your service in the Air Force, and it's. They're somewhat unsung, unfortunately. So thank you for shining a little bit of a light on that. What is your favorite de-stress activity?
Oh gosh. I binge watch. We only have one TV in our house. So I have to, scoot my husband out of the room or wait till he goes on a bike ride. But my favorite way to de-stress is to get a pint of Ben and Jerry's. And I either watch Law and Order SVU forever, and I've been doing that for at least 15 years, or Sex in the City.
Oh, good, two good choices.
Uh-huh. Yep.
And the
Yep.
Ben and Jerry's, of course, is a wonderful choice. What flavor
New York
are you
Superfudge
enjoying in that photograph?
Pardon me?
What flavor are you enjoying in that
Oh,
photograph?
New York Super Fudge Chunk. I used to be able to time it when Sex in the City was live or when it was showing back 10 years ago. So I could take my first scoop when the opening credits started, and I would have my last spoonful at the end of the show
Oh, that is
every
impressive.
Sunday night.
That's I love that. That is just
It's
so
a talent.
great. It is a talent. What is your favorite hobby?
My favorite hobby? Well, I'm about to start a new old hobby,
Oh, a
and
new old
that
hobby. That's
is
great.
I'm going to retake guitar lessons.
Fantastic.
I always wanted a guitar. I got a guitar when I was, oh, I don't know, fifth grade. I took some lessons in my hometown, Bellefontaine, Ohio, from Mr. Stang. And I haven't played in probably decades. And I've just decided I'm going to take guitar lessons again. So tomorrow afternoon, after the summit, I'm going to take my guitar down to a music store, get it restrung, and sign up for lessons.
Well,
I
I
want
think
to do
that's
Christmas carols.
oh, that's fantastic. And I bet it's going to be a little bit like riding a bike. Don't you think? Once you
Yeah,
don't you think it's going to come right back to you?
I think so. I was never great, but I was never really very good at all. But I
Uh-huh.
knew basic chords, basic strumming. I could muddle through Christmas carols. And if I can get to Christmas carols this year, I'll declare victory.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's
But it's just
fantastic.
soothing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I mean, and that's what a hobby is for, right?
Mhm.
It's something that you enjoy doing. You want to spend time at doing. You're always trying to get better at a hobby. Photography is a hobby of mine, and I'm always trying to get a little bit better and learning new things about it. So, that's the beauty of having a hobby. So,
Right.
maybe you can come out with a little Christmas CD for
No,
Herd and
you don't want that.
and raise some money, or have a
Right.
little concert. So.
They'll pay me not to play.
Okay, when you were little, what did you want to be when you grew up?
Well, when I was in high school, I wanted to be an actor. And I was in drama club. I was always in the not musicals because I can't sing at all, but I was always in like the drama nights and the class plays, and I was always very, very, very funny, believe it or not.
Oh, I
And
believe it.
so, so I always wanted to be an actor, but I'm tall. I'm over 6 feet tall, so I figured nobody would ever give me a part, and I would starve to death. So I went in the Air Force. But ironically, in November of 2014, through this random sequence of events, I got a small part on the TV show Veep when it was filming in Baltimore.
That is
And so
crazy.
it's
I
so
love
crazy.
that
And
show.
I'll tell you a tip if you ever get to be on a TV show. I've been taking acting lessons at the Little Theater of Alexandria as another hobby, acting and improv. Both teachers, Mike Baker, the acting teacher, and Keeley, the improv teacher, are both on my herd team now. But Mike had taught me if you ever on TV talk, because an extra gets like $75 a day, and they're the people in the background. If you talk, it puts you in a different category.
Ah,
So I was in a room with Tim Simon, who's the very tall character, the
ah,
Jonah Ryan character, and two other
uh-huh.
very tall women. It was a whole scene. And they all were instructed to say, nice to meet you, except for me. And I thought, well, the heck with this. So I said, nice to meet you, because I figured a producer would say, hey, you shut up, and nobody
Right.
did.
Uh-huh.
So I got $800 for saying, nice to meet you. They reshot the scene 3 weeks later because of lighting. I got another $800.
Oh my
I still
gosh.
get residual checks. I have made over $2,500 for saying, nice to meet you.
That's fantastic.
Hmm?
Wow. So it was
So,
really nice to meet you.
yes, tip of the day for would-be actors, talk.
Wow, that is a great tip. That's a great tip. Don't be quiet just because they told you to be quiet.
Right.
And Veep, oh my gosh, what a great show. What a great show Veep
Yeah.
is.
Isn't that hilarious?
Yeah. Okay. My last, well, maybe my second to last question. What is next for the wonderful Jane Hess Collins, the virtuoso and multi-talented and driven Jane Collins? What's next for you?
I'm going to take a nap.
That's a great idea. I bet you're going to
Yeah.
need one after the summit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there is the whole, the herd aspect in launching this. And as I said, talk over the next couple of months, promoting this through, being visible to different arts organizations and through this show and other avenues. Beyond that, I'm kind of open. I'm
Mm-hmm.
half kidding when I say I'm going to take a nap.
Mm-hmm.
I want to spend time with my husband and my family, travel as we can.
Yes.
More local trips and day trips now. And just go to the gym more and play more tennis.
Oh,
Yeah,
definitely play more tennis. And you and I, and we've talked about that before, we should really get out on the tennis court together one of these days.
we
I'll,
should.
I'll,
Yeah.
I'll let you go to the gym. I don't need to go to the gym, but I'd love to play tennis with you. I think that would be
Okay.
fun.
Deal.
Um, and then the final question, and this is a question again, everybody who watch your show knows that I'm shamelessly stealing from your material. But it's a question that I always loved, and I'd love to hear people's answers. And I think it's something that we can all ask ourselves. And it is, how can we all make our community a better place?
And I would ask that during the 10 questions with, inevitably people said something along the lines of be kind to each other, get to know each other, get to know people you don't know. And I would say that, but I would also say consider the arts as part of your universe, whether it's a hobby, whether it's to help people. Just bring that aspect, bring that beauty into your life. And it's taken how many decades for me and 3 or 4 years of running a nonprofit about arts for me to say, I should play the guitar again.
Mm-hmm.
But I found that when you even listen to music or do anything artful, it just brings a beauty into your life that you can do for free.
Yep,
It's there. You just have to go take it.
it's
And
true.
of
Yep.
course, donate to my nonprofit.
Yes, of course. And that's
Yeah,
www.herdnova.org.
that's it.
That's it. Well, Jane Collins, what a pleasure to chat with you. Thank you so much for coming
So
on the
much fun.
show. I kind of miss talking to you every week. So
Yeah,
this has been very
too.
wonderful to reconnect with you. And I love your advice. There's arts and to grab the arts in the universe. And it is so true. I mean, look back at the beginning of the pandemic when everybody was quarantining. I mean, what proliferated across all of social media was musicians and
Mhm.
Andrew Lloyd Webber giving us his concerts I mean it was just amazing how everybody sought refuge in music
Mhm.
and in art and so there's that was no coincidence. I mean that is
Right.
what soothes the soul. So I think that's wonderful advice, and that we should all heed it. Jane, good luck with your Tom Tom Foundation panel tomorrow.
Thank you, Susan.
I'm
It's
so
always good to
excited.
see you.
Yeah, I'm so excited for you, and I'm really looking forward to seeing that. So I know we'll talk soon. So thanks again for
Yes.
coming on ZTV. Okay,
Okay.
see
Bye
ya.
bye.
Bye bye. Okay. All right. Well, everybody, thank you so much for joining in and for my conversation with Jane Collins. She's just a wonderful force of nature in this world, and the world is better off having her in it, that is for sure. So tune into the Tom Tom Foundation Summit panel hearing appearance tomorrow. You can find it on the TomTomFoundation.org website, and it's under the Cities Rising Summit. Her panel begins at 10, and I believe she said that she was on at 10:20. So don't miss it. She has so much to offer, and we're so glad that she offered it here with us first. that'll be it for tonight. Tune in tomorrow night. We will have a special premiere episode. It's pre-recorded with Chef Chris Edwards of Hank and Mitzi's Italian Kitchen in Old Town. He won, as you know, if you saw the story in the Zebra, he won on Chopped, on the Food Network's television cooking competition show, Chopped. And he won, so I spent some time with him the other day, and we just chatted he talked about how the show went on, and it was just really fun for him, and a gratifying win, of course. So tune in tomorrow night at 7 o'clock and take a look at that. And until then, wherever you are, as much as you can, be kind, and remember to be the good news in someone's life.